Hello and welcome back to the another episode of the Ancient History Lectures. As you can see, it is lecture number 6 and the date is 21st August 2025. Well, today's discussion will revolve around Mahajanpadas, the later phase of Mahajanpadas, what we see there. We'll try to discuss the trade. We'll try to find out why it is called the second urbanization, and we'll try to find out what were the various trade routes, various trade routes in the Mahajanpadas, and then we will conclude it. And after that, we will see the emergence of new religions. In it, we will see Buddhism, we will see Jainism, we will see Ajvakism. These three religions are the most priority for us. So this is what we are going to discuss today, most probably. But before we'll start our discussion, I would like to give you the brief history or brief recap what we discussed so far. You know why? Because first of all, it is very much important for you with respect to your exam. Second, once I continuously give you the recap of what we discussed so far, it will give you the continuous revision, and it will ease your burden of your preparation. That is the main motive behind it. So let us see what we discussed so far. We started with the Paleolithic age. What? Paleolithic age. And we saw that the most accepted time period, it varies from historians to historians, and let's suppose the most accepted time period is 2 million years BCE to 35,000. Let's keep it 35,000 BCE. This most accepted time period. And we know one thing about the Paleolithic age. It was the Ice Age. When it was Ice Age, what were the characteristics, for the early humans to survive? They would be bulky. They will have good fat content. So this fat will, help them in surviving from the cold temperatures. And also animals, they would also be bulky and fat content. And what are the further characteristics? For example, for early humans to survive, they would depend on hunting and gathering, mostly hunting. And for the hunting purposes, what were the weapons used? They were very bulky and irregular weapons. We discussed that in very great detail. And then we saw that in the Paleolithic age, not only we saw its characteristics, we also saw that the evolution, which is very much evident. How is this evolution evident? We found out that the Paleolithic phase, it is mostly divided into three phases. One is early Paleolithic age, in which we see that we see the emergence of humanoids, and we see their cranial capacity is very low, something around 500 to 700 cc. So their cranial capacity is very low. They are mostly gatherers. They would eat, they cannot stand on their feet, and we know about that. We had discussed that in great detail, and that is not the point we should repeat here. After that, we saw that then came the time when the evolution started with respect to humans. Then came the Homo erectus, and it led to the Middle Paleolithic age. They led to the Middle Paleolithic age. When they led to the Middle Paleolithic age, we saw that their cranial capacity was much better. It was something between 700 cc to 900, or we can say to 1200 cc. Let's suppose it was this, a rough idea about it. Their cranial capacity was good, and they started to use. They could stand on their feet, and they would use they may use rocks for the hunting, mostly rocks for the hunting. So this is what it evolved. Then after that, we saw the later Paleolithic age, where we saw that humans evolved to their full capacities. We saw the coming of Homo sapiens and Homo sapiens, and their cranial capacity, it was 400 to 4,450. Very good evolved. We see the weapons, what they used for. They are bulky, still bulky, but well moduled. They are different than what the Homo erectus used to have. So we see this evolution there. We see the evolution with respect to the environment too, as the temperature started to increase now. It was a time period, as we know that it was a time period of the Ice Age. Now the environment started to shift. Its temperature started to increase, and we see the emergence of the Mesolithic age. Mesolithic age. And the most important characteristics of the Mesolithic age is that they started to domesticate animals, that we know. And this time period, mostly for the historians, it also differs. For some it is 10,000 BCE to 4,000 BCE. For some historians it is 3,500,000 BCE to 10,000 BCE. I will accept this one. If you will ask me, I will accept this one. And we see the emergence of microliths. Why? As the temperature is increasing, fat content of the animals, it decreases. They became much faster. When they became much faster, hunting became difficult with the bulky weapons. Now humans, they needed smaller weapons to hunt them, which they can throw from the distance, and it led to the emergence of the microliths. We understood it, and the temperature started to increase. The average temperature was now 15 degrees centigrade on the earth. So this is the Mesolithic age, but still they depended on the hunting. At the same time, there was the emergence of the domestication of animals. It started to happen, and mostly accepted by the historians is that the dogs were the first animals who were domesticated. This is the Mesolithic age. Then after that we saw the Neolithic age. Neolithic age, it is from 10,000 BCE to 4,000 BCE, mostly accepted this date. And the most important thing about it is that we saw the emergence of agriculture. When we saw the emergence of agriculture, I told you that agriculture is poison. Why it is poison? Because it will lead to the complex societies. We saw the emergence of complex societies, and then we saw various sites with respect to the Neolithic age. What were the sites in the North India? What were the sites in the South India? What were the sites in the Northeast? We discussed with respect to them in detail, and if you want to know through, if you had not seen the videos, I would request you. It is only the 6th lecture. Go and go through my old recent videos. You will come to know what we had discussed so far. This is the Neolithic age. We saw the most important thing in this. What happened? It was the emergence of agriculture, and it led to what? It led to the complex societies, early phase of the complex societies. Then after that, once the Neolithic age ended, it is also called the first revolution. Neolithic. It is also called the Neolithic revolution. Then we saw the Chalcolithic age. And this Chalcolithic age, which is called the Copper age 2, which is called Copper age 2, and it is divided into two types. One is Chalcolithic age with Harappan sites and without Harappan sites. In without Harappan sites, we saw 4 cultures there: Jorwe culture and various others which we had discussed. And then with Harappan sites, we saw Harappan culture, the Indus Valley civilization, and we discussed that in great detail. What were the sites? We saw the evolution of the Indus Valley civilization, how it is proto-Harappan site, how it is Harappan site, and later Harappan site. We discussed everything with respect to that, and I would not repeat it here. But the point which I want to raise here, that again, here we saw first time in the Indus Valley civilization, the urbanization happened. We saw the trade, both internal and external. Till now there was no trade, and it is the first time in the Indus Valley civilization we see the emergence of the trade. And the time period which is given for it is mostly for the Chalcolithic age, it is 4,000 BCE to 1700 BCE. And for Indus Valley, specific to Indus Valley, it is mostly accepted 3,500 BCE to 1700 BCE. Whatever you choose, or you may choose the mature Indus Valley's date 2500 BCE to 1700 BCE. It varies as we had discussed that. And we saw what? We saw the urbanization, we saw the emergence of trade, both internal and external. And with Indus Valley civilization, we discussed various aspects, various sites, and everything, whatever is required for you to clear the exam. Now after the Indus Valley civilization, we went ahead and we saw that from 1700 BCE to 1500 BCE, we don't find much records. We don't have the data available, and this time period is called the Dark Age, because we don't have the data available with respect to this time period. From what? From 1500, from 1700 to 1500, it is called the Dark Age. Only reference to it recently it emerged was the Vadnagar, but yet it is not well established. There are researches going on with respect to it, not yet established. It is called the Dark Age. And from the 1500 onwards to 1000 BCE, we see the emergence. First, we see the emergence of Aryans. Then we saw that who are Aryans, it is the linguistic group rather than an ethnic group. It is linguistic group, and they migrated from mostly from Central Asia to different places, and one group entered into India. Then we also saw, we discussed the various words which resemble both with Sanskrit and the various other international languages. So we came to the conclusion that they must have been the people who migrated from one region to various other regions, and they intermingled in such a way that there are certain voices which still remained here, certain phonetics which still remained in these languages. That's why we see the similarities. And we saw in this phase 1700, we saw the Rigvedic age, and with respect to Rigvedic age, it was the complex society. It was the last stage where the woman enjoyed the full freedom in a way, and we saw the early forms of patriarchy emerged. And also, what was trade there? No, trade was not there. No trade there. Only barter system, and it was mostly internal. So this is the Rigvedic age in a nutshell. Then after that, we went to the later Vedic age, which is from 1000 BCE to 600 BCE. There, the characteristic, it became the monarchy. We discussed emergence of Mahajanpadas here, and we saw that the conflict between the Mahajanpadas, the society was different. How society was different? It was also a complex society, but monarchy, trade, it was almost negligible. No trade still in this phase. After the after the 1600 BCE, from 1600 BCE to 550, or we can say 500 BCE, we see the Mahajanpadas, and which we had discussed in our last class. Whatever were the characteristics of them, what were the 16 Mahajanpadas. Earlier they were 22, but they were often fighting with each other. And what were the 16 Mahajanpadas, and what are their capitals, which we had discussed in the form of this map. Everything is very much clear. Now today's discussion, this is what we had discussed so far. I hope you had understood it. I hope you got the basic understanding of our module. What we had discussed so far, we had discussed it all in detail, but here it was a little recap so that you will get more connected with it. Now let's discuss one more thing about the Mahajanpadas, then we will move to the religion part. We will see here that first of all, what were the specific, with respect to the ancient history, and especially about today's lecture, I would say it is mostly fact-based. It is fact-based lecture, and most relevant for your prelims preparation. It may be sometimes boring, sometimes it may be most interesting. You have to tolerate it, because I know that facts are always boring, but you have to learn these because you have to qualify the exam. If you can't qualify the prelims, then what is the matter of even thinking of clearing the UPSC? So for that, it is very much important. Now let's see with respect to the 6th century BC. I called it, if you can remember in the last class, that it is the second urbanization. Why it is second urbanization? Because of some important facts. What are these important facts? First, the agriculture was very extensive. And it emerged in the Ganga Yamuna Doab, which we had discussed yesterday. When it emerged in the Ganga Yamuna Doab, mostly why? Because they cut the forests. And what was the weapon used for cutting the forests? What was the metal? It was iron. Because they had the extensive knowledge of the iron, and they used the iron. So because of that, it became easier for them to cut the forests. When it became easier for them to cut the forests, This land was available for the agriculture, and there was extensive agriculture. When there was extensive agriculture, definitely it would lead to surplus, extensive surplus. And what will you do with the surplus? Definitely you would want to sell it. You would want to buy different things from it, and for that you need someone to control this surplus, and it led to the emergence of monarchy. It led to the emergence of monarchy. There would have been some king who would control it, or some tribal head who would control it. So first of all, there was extensive agriculture, because agriculture spread to the most fertile land. Then second, the extensive use of iron. When iron was extensively used, and what it will lead to, it will lead to the by the help of iron, they separate the land for the agriculture, and they had the surplus, and it would lead to both internal and external trade. When there is both internal and external trade, when was the last time we saw the internal and external trade? We only saw this internal and external trade at one place till now. It is the IVC, in Indus Valley civilization. Only there we saw the internal and external trade, and now we are seeing it in the 6th century BC. So extensive trade, extensive wealth, and monarchy. Monarchy were this, they were the Kshatriyas, who were supported by the Brahmins. And here we saw that Brahmins, they always are at the top, then Kshatriyas, then we see the Vaishyas, who were the agriculturists, who were the people with wealth, and then we see the Shudras. So definitely, when the Brahmins, when the Kshatriyas, they are controlling the nation, or the nation at that time, they are controlling the tribe, and the Vaishyas, they have the knowledge, they have the wealth. Definitely, they were the richest, they were the most powerful, and there are chances that they will not like this hierarchy, they will not like this stratification, and they would want to change it. It is very but natural. If you have the money, if you are rich, why would you like to be why would you allow somebody who is as good as you, that he will think that he is better than you? Why would you allow somebody who is not rich as you, that you will think that he is better than you? Definitely there are the chances that clashes will come in. So that we will see when we will see the why there was the need of the emergence of new religions. Let's keep this topic here. Now with respect to this, as we see that in both external and internal trade, it was on the peak, and at the same time it gave rise to the currency system. So currency system came first time in the Indian subcontinent, and we see the punch marked coins. But these punch marked coins, they are very irregular in shape, because they are in the rudimentary form. They are very irregular in shape. And what are the materials used for the punch marked coins? It is the silver. Silver is used for the punch marked coins. And why they are called punch marked coins? Because on these punch marked coins, there would be some shapes formed on them. So that's why punch marked coins, these punch marks will tell to which dynasty they belong to which time phase they belong to. So this is what why this is called the second urbanization. Then now let's see, as we know that different punch mark coins were there. Now let's see what are the names, as it can be relevant for your prelims preparation. What are the names given to these punch marks coins? This you have to write down, because it can be very much relevant for your prelims exam. So please do write it down, which I will narrate here and which I will write here. The names for the punch mark, references to the coins, we can say references to the coins. First I will write them down, and then I will tell one important thing about these coins. So what is their references to the coins? First we see the name given to it is Kahapanna. Please write it down. Second name, we see the Nikaha. Maybe my pronunciation is bad, but the spelling what I am writing here, that is enough for you to recognize the question in the exam. Then the third, it is Kamsa, Kamsa. Then the fourth, it is Pada. I am not Hindi speaker. I am from Jammu and Kashmir. I have never read Hindi. That's why maybe I may mispronounce it. So please forgive me for that. But this is the exact spelling. or most accepted spelling for it. So concentrate on these terms. Then the fifth, it is Masaka. Then the sixth, it is Kakanika. Kakanika. And then seventh, it is Nishka. Nish, Nishka, Nishka. These are the references to the coins. And one thing which I told you, that what is the important point which I want to raise here, that these references are not specific to the 6th century BCE, but it goes before 6th century BCE. It goes to the later Vedic age too. Later Vedic age 2, and they were previously called the gold modules. What they were previously called, the gold modules. Now I guess you can figure out, if the question comes with respect to these, what are they, you should be able to answer that they are the coins. Such questions do come in the exam. Mark, match the following. So with this, I think you are sorted out. Now, as we saw that trade was extensive, we discussed it in the later Vedic age too, that the private property, the concept of private property came in, because the kings would gift the land, transfer the lands and all that stuff which we had discussed. And there were multiple workers too, multiple words for the workers too. What are these? Dasa dasis, they continued. Then there is another name which is Kama Karas. Kammakaras, they are wage labor. Then we have Porisas. Also wage laborers, both worked in the households. So wage labor. When wage labor started, definitely the concept of currency is there. They would pay them something for that. Now, what are the? As I told you, these are the urban. This is the second age of the urbanization. Now let's have a look at the words which refer to multiple words for the urban centers. What are these multiple words for the urban centers which can be asked in the exam? Let me write it down for you guys, so that you will be sorted out with respect to your prelims preparation. What are these words? First, we see the Pura. It is a fortified, meant a town or a city which is fortified. It would be definitely fortified. Then we see Nagama. It may be fortified, or may not be. This is the difference. Pura, it would always be fortified. Nagama, it may be fortified or may not be. Then we see the Nigama. What is this Nigama? It is a market town, which is between the Gama and Nagara. It is between Nagara. So this is the Nigama, which is the market town between Gama and Nagara. So it is not chronologically given. Remember that. Just remember these facts, because there is no conceptual clarity with respect to the Nigama, Nagara, Gama, who comes first. There is no such conceptual clarity. Then we have the Rajdhani. Here we have the conceptual clarity. Rajdhani. It is the capital city. Then we have Nagaraka. This Nagaraka is a small town. Then we have Mahanagaraka. It is a big town. So these are the urban centers which were mentioned, which you need to know. After this, I told you we will see what were the various trade routes, and then we will conclude our Mahajanpadas, and we will shift to the 5th century BC, while we will see emergence of various new religions. Now let's have a look at the various trade routes. There were majorly two trade routes. One is Uttar Patha, and then we have the Dakshina Patha. There are majorly two trade routes. Uttar Patha and Dakshina Patha. Please do write it down. Two trade routes. Two trade routes. Uttar Patha and Dakshina Patha. Dakshina Patha. So these trade routes connects us to the northwest of Indian subcontinent and the southeast. So they are very much important. Now let's see what are the Uttar Patha trade routes. It consists of two. This Uttar Patha trade route, it consists of two zones. Two zones. What are these zones? One is the northern sector. Northern sector. Here we have it. This northern sector, it ran through Lahore, then Jalandhar, then Saharanpur, then through Gorakhpur towards the Bihar and Bengal, then through Gorakhpur towards Bihar and Bengal. It is the northern sector. Then we have the southern sector in it. It connected Lahore. This southern sector, it connected Lahore with Raiwand, then Bathinda, then Delhi, then Hastinapura, and then Kanpur and Lucknow, then Varanasi, Allahabad, and then moved on towards the Patliputra and Rajagriha, and moved towards Patliputra and Rajagriha, which is in Magadha. Rajagriha, the capitals of Magadha. So this is the this is the Uttar Path. It has two sectors, the northern sector and the southern sector. Now let's have a look at the second. Let's have a look at the Dakshina Patha. We have the Dakshina Patha. In the Dakshina Patha, it is the greater southern route stretched from Patliputra, on the Godavari, and was also connected to the ports on the western coast. On the Godavari, and was connected to the ports on the western coast. The point at which Dakshina Patha and the Uttar Patha met, it was the Patliputra. So because of that, we see the Patliputra as it emerged as the capital of the Magadha, which was the strongest of all the Janpadas. So this is with respect to Janpadas. This is what you need to require to clear any question with respect to your prelims exam. I hope you had got it. If there is any confusion, please do write in the comments. I will definitely try to cater to that confusion. Now let us start with the another part of our discussion, which is the emergence of new religions, which can be the philosophical. But here I would like to mention one thing, that with respect to these religions which we have to discuss with respect to our UPSC preparation, whether it is the ancient history or during the medieval or in the modern, One thing I would like to mention here, that please don't get emotionally connected with your syllabus, this part of your syllabus. If you will get emotionally connected, you will invest so much time in studying these religions, and at the end you will become Muhammad Tughlaq. You know who was Muhammad Tughlaq? He was the most educated person in the Tughlaq dynasty, but he lacked the practical knowledge. So I don't want you to be the Muhammad Tughlaqs. I want you to work smartly. Whatever is required for you to clear the exam, what are the expectations from the UPSC, we need to learn all those things and leave what is not necessary. We don't need to get emotionally attached to the syllabus. That is what I want to mention here. And second thing what I want to mention here, that I assume that with respect to these religions, whether we will discuss the Vedic Brahmanism, which we had discussed, or we will discuss the Buddhism or Jainism or Ajvakism, mostly the students are much interested in these topics and they have the inbuilt knowledge of it. They would have researched about it, and maybe you guys, if you are watching my video, you would have read from somewhere, and this is such topic which students often will forget. Students will not forget such topics. So I am assuming that you will have certain knowledge about it, and when I am going to deliver my lecture here, that it may contradict with your knowledge, and you may assume that sir has not given us the proper thing, he is not giving us the proper knowledge which is required for us to clear the exam. But that is not the case. That's why I'm mentioning it here, because there are many things what we are taught in the coaching institutes which are not important, and this platform, these classes, it is specific to your UPSC preparation. Whatever would be required, we will deliver that, and with the most accepted, what is mostly accepted by the UPSC, that information would be delivered to you. We will not jump to the unnecessary things which is not required for you to clear the exam. So that I wanted to make it here, so that you will get to know what this discussion would revolve around. Now, with respect to these religions, especially if we look at it, the Buddhism and Jainism, mostly we will discuss these two religions. And with respect to this, what is the requirement of UPSC? First, we have to look into that. The requirement of the UPSC is first philosophy, then architecture, then art, literature, and patronage. Philosophy, this we will discuss now, because it is the time where we have to discuss it. Architecture, art, and literature, this we will discuss when we will take the art and literature. Art and architecture, when we will discuss it, there would be separate session for it. As I had told you, these classes which I am delivering here, it is specific to this part, which is history. If you can remember the first lecture, I told you what are the things which we have to which we have to discuss. For example, let me again tell you about the syllabus. In the history, we have to discuss ancient history, we have to discuss medieval, we have to discuss modern, we have to discuss post-independence, we have to discuss the world history then. So these are the things, and with that we have to discuss art and culture. This art and culture, how we will approach it? First we will discuss ancient, then medieval, then we will take up art and culture. After that modern, then we will take up the post-independence, then we will take up the world history. This is what we are going to this is our approach. This is what our approach would be with respect to this. So here we will discuss the philosophy, art and architecture. It we will discuss in the art and architecture classes, art and literature. Then remaining we have the patronage. It we will discuss when we will discuss the dynasties. There it will definitely come, because we have to take it up definitely. So this would be the continuous thing. It would continuously evolve till we complete the ancient history. So be patient with me and trust what I am giving to you guys, because this is exactly what is required for from you by the UPSC. So trust the process and don't become emotional. Now, as we have to discuss the religion here, we have to discuss Buddhism and Jainism. Now let's see how, in which year they what was the century in which century they emerged. What was the birth date of the Buddha. And Jainism, if we look at the Buddhism and Jainism, Jainism is much older than the Buddhism. To be more precise, Jainism as a concept is older than the Buddhism, but we will start with the Buddhism first. But before Buddhism, we'll discuss the Ajvakism little bit, then we'll go to the Buddhism. So this is the time period is 6th century BC and 300 century BC mostly. This would be the time period for these religions. We will see the peak of these religions, then there would be slight decline, and eventually by the invent of Arabs and Turks, we will see the total decline of Buddhism in India, almost total decline of Buddhism in India. So this is the time period, and about this time period we saw that what were the social and economic conditions. First, we have the religion which was followed is the Vedic Brahmanism. And this Vedic Brahmanism, if we will try to understand it, it has two important parts in it. The first is there are many parts to it, but the two important parts which were not liked by the people at that time. What are these two important things in the Vedic Brahmanism? First, we see the social stratification. We see the fourfold Varna system. When we see the fourfold Varna system, we see there is hierarchy given. First, we will see Brahmans, then we will see Kshatriyas, then we will see Vaishyas, and then we will see the Shudras, which are the least, what is the duty of the Shudras? To serve these three, and they would be discriminated. And Kshatriyas and Vaishyas, they are lower than the Brahmans. Who are Brahmans? They are the priests. They would talk to the God. And through the God they will choose their king. And eventually, it was a time period when the king was becoming, monarchy started. Monarchy was at its peak. Monarchy was at its young age, or at its peak, we can say. Monarchy was at its peak. And when monarchy was at its peak, there was the politically they were very strong. They have the political power. So this is what is happening in this time period. And second thing, we saw that in this time period the agriculture was very intensive agriculture. It was intensively done. We saw the extensive use of iron was extensively used. When agriculture was intense, and who were the people who were using the iron, who were using the agriculture? They were these Vaishyas, the third strata under the fourfold Varna system. So because of this, when the Kshatriyas have the power, Kshatriyas, they are the kings, they have the power. Vaishyas have the money. Money is power. They have the trade. They travel to different places. They are the travelers. They travel to different places because of the trade. They have the knowledge. They have the experience. Kshatriyas, they are the controllers. Is it acceptable that these people will let some another caste? They call themselves Brahmans, and they will say they will neither control the political system, neither they will have the control over the economic system, and they will put themselves on the top. They will be better than these two. Is it acceptable? If we will think logically, whenever money, do this experiment. If the first thing, once you become the rich, you leave the house where you had lived, you would have often read it. I also read it from Instagram. That is reality. Once money comes in your hand, you become powerful. You don't want to live that life. And they started to enjoy the power. Why would they let Brahmins dictate things to them? So this was the condition at that time when the Buddhism emerged. It was the condition at the time of the Buddhism. It is the condition what is happening at that time. So it definitely paved a way for the emergence of Buddhism. And we see that with respect to Buddhism and Jainism, who are the people who support it? Buddhism and Jainism, who are the people? It is the Kshatriyas. We see the Kala Ashoka. We see sometimes Ajatashatru. We see the Ashoka, the Great. They are supporting it. And it is the Vaishyas who are who are providing money to them, who are who are giving them the economic support. So Buddhism, it was supported by them. So definitely it is the logical explanation. It was the condition at that time what led to the rise of the Buddhism. This is what is mostly accepted. Whether it is true or false, the Buddhist, if you will ask the Buddhism, the Buddhists, what is the reason for the emergence of Buddhism, they would give the different reason. What is that reason? Let me tell you, if I can be correct here. They tell you that look at the time period. Same story. We see extensive agriculture. Extensive agriculture. We see the grief in the people. We see the social stratification. We see that people are become very materialistic in nature. They love the materials. They are materialistic in nature. And there is huge grief in the people because of that. And so there was the need for the answer to it. And who could have given the answer? It is the Buddha who gave the answer to it. Buddha gave the answer to it. And that is why the people at that time, the conditions demand that somebody should come them and he should lead them to the salvation. And that's why I tell you, if you want salvation, do subscribe the Salvation IAS. So because I give you the salvation, I give you the knowledge which can give you the salvation with respect to your if you can qualify, please don't kill me about that. So this is the idea of the Buddhists, why they believe that, what they believe, that it was the materialistic nature of the people at that time. They were much materialistic. There was grief, there was social stratification, and it eventually paved the way for the Buddhism. The people wanted somebody to come in and who could break these shackles. And now the third thing, if we can see, let's put some effort on the, again, let's come back to our first discussion, the Vedic Brahmanism. Vedic Brahmanism. I would tell here that I'm not an expert in this religion, so please forgive me if I'm making any mistake, but whatever I'm saying here, that it is specific to your exam. So this is what you have to learn. Please don't get emotionally connected with it. So according to, under Vedic Brahmanism, we see that the Brahmanism, what is the concept of God and the soul? According to Vedic Brahmanism, there is God. He created a soul. And what will happen to the soul? He will take the bodies. Take the bodies. He will be sent to this soul will be sent to the earth and it will take the bodies. And what is the ultimate goal of the soul? The ultimate goal of the soul is that as God created it from himself, the ultimate goal of the soul is to reach this place. Join again with the God. This is the ultimate goal of the soul, which is called the nirvana or moksha, which is called the moksha. So you would have heard about this word moksha, the ultimate goal of the soul. But what happens if you are not getting the moksha? What is happening that at that time? What is, God created soul and soul will take the body. Once this body will decay or it will die, it will change to the another body, then it will change to the another body, then it will keep changing. So there is a repetition of this cycle. Repetition of this cycle. So in order to break these shackles, what can be done? How this soul, the soul wants to join with the God, but it is not joining with, because it is shifting from one body to another body, from another body to another body. God wants something from it. And what is that God wants something from it? Religion fixes it. How religion fixes it? Vedic Brahmanism says that if you want to achieve the moksha, you have to do the purnya. Achhe kaam karo. Do the good deeds, you will achieve it. And how you can do the purnya? You can do it in different ways. How? For example, you can do it by doing the sacrifices. By doing the sacrifices. So it again became the problematic. This sacrifices thing, it became problematic because it was not economically viable for everybody. So everybody cannot get the moksha. Second thing, how much purna do you need to get the moksha? It is not very clear. Even if you will spend your lives on this earth serving the people, but still you don't know how you can achieve this moksha. With this topic I would like to add extra here, even though it is not related to your preparation, but I want to relate something. With respect to Abrahamic religions, especially Islam, there is also concept of sawab. If I would write it here, sawab and guna. In English we can say it good deeds and bad deeds. So in order to the ultimate goal of the soul here, God created soul. In Islam also God created soul, Allah created soul, and the ultimate goal of the soul is to enter into Jannah, to enter into the heaven, the gardens of heaven. That is the ultimate goal of the soul. So in what way it can enter into the gardens of heaven? For that, this soul, it would be, it will be sent to the world in the form of human body, and there is no concept of transferring the bodies here. It is very, very specific. There would be one human body, and there would be the lifetime for this human body for a person, and his deeds will decide whether he will go to paradise or he will go to hell. Similarly, you can see the similarity here. The religions are almost similar. You can see the similarity here, that similarly in the Vedic Brahmanism, God created the soul, and soul will take the bodies. It is the different part. Let's leave the differences aside. Look at the similarities and how you can get the moksha. You can get the moksha once you will do the purna. The question both in Islam and the Brahmanism is that how much purna you have to do. How much purna you have to do. For the Brahmanism, there was no proper answer. For Vedic Brahmanism, according to the books which are good for your preparation, there was no proper answer how much purna you have to do, and it was complicated. Even though there was answer, but it was complicated. So when it was complicated, then there was a need for the new ways in which you can achieve this moksha, and sacrifices. We saw that there were sacrifices. It was not economically affordable, and there were other conditions, the social stratification at that time. So because of all that, it led to the emergence of the new religions, and those new religions are Brahmanism, those new religions are Jainism, those new religions are Ajvakism. And with respect to Jainism, it is according to Jains, they have the concept of Tirthankaras. They are very old. Even in the Rig Vedas, there is mention of Jain Tirthankaras. Well, that is some separate concept, but how we accept it, that is different. So this led to the emergence of Buddhism and Jainism and Ajvakism. Why? Because it gave us the different path for the salvation. They gave us the different path for salvation. But they gave us a different path for the salvation. And this path, it was much easier and affordable for the people, and it was less discriminative in the nature. Actually, they changed the social stratification. What they did, they changed the social stratification. At the top it became the Kshatriyas, then Vaishyas, and at the bottom it was the Shudras. So it changed the social stratification. If you have a question with respect to Shudras, did they did any good to Shudras? No. They did not took the issue of the Shudras at that time. Even the it is often said that Gautam Buddha said that Shudras should, serve to the to other people, to the higher strata of the social stratification, higher castes of the caste hierarchy. They should, serve them. It is often said. So they did anything great with respect to Shudras, but they changed it in the way how you can get the solution. They changed the social order. They gave the highest status to the Kshatriyas, they gave highest status to the Vaishyas, and the Brahmins, they were given the least status than them. So they changed the social order. So that is why it led to the patronage from the Vaishyas and Shudras, and from the Vaishyas and whom? Vaishyas and Kshatriyas. Because of that, they led to the, they served them, they provide them the materials what were required for them. And we saw that what is the Buddhist reason why they say that there was a need for that. Now, without any delay, let's move to these religions. First, we will start with the Ajvakism. Very simple things which we have to learn here. Ajvakism. With respect to Ashoka, before he converted to Buddhism, he was the follower of Ajvakism. So remember that. So with respect to Ajvakism, who is this? Who is the founder of Ajvakism? It is Makhali Goshala. Makhali Goshala. Why he is called Makhali Goshala? Because it is believed that he got his birth in the Goshala, birth in cowshed. That's why he is called Makhali Goshala. Who was his father? Father Mankali, and mother Bata. His mother's name is Bata. And how it changed? How it renunciated the religion, the idea, it gave the idea of giving up everything. Give up everything. What was the core principle of the Ajvakism? The core principle of Ajvakism is that he believed in what? He believed in the predestination. They believed in the predestination. So what is the idea? According to them, whether you worship somebody or not, if you are destined to go into hell, you will go into hell. If you are destined to go into heaven, you will go into heaven. If you are destined to achieve the moksha, you will achieve the moksha. Whatever you will do, that does not matter. So it in a way invaded the concept of niyati, it gave the concept of fate. It is in your fate and predestination. It is in fate, then you will get. If it is in fate, then you will get it. And the only thing what you can do is, if you are born, you can wait. Once you will wait, once you will die, then you will see whether you got the moksha or not. So this is the concept of Ajvakism. So with respect to this, again I would like to relate this with the Abrahamic religion, because why I am doing so, I want to give the idea. These Abrahamic religions, they may seem very foreign to us, but the essence is almost similar. And I will here give the example of Islam. Again, Islam, there is also the concept of predestination, that Allah has decided whether you will go, Allah knows, and it is already written on your taqdeer. There is a concept of taqdeer, that is already written whether you will go to hell or heaven. The concept of predestination. But the Islamic concept of predestination is little different from the concept of the concept of predestination in the Ajvakism. Let me define you how. Even though it is not important for you, but for the philosophical debate, I will give you this idea. What is this predestination in Islam? I will give you an example here. Here, the God, Allah, is all-knowing. When He created the human, He knew that, for example, when Allah created me, He knew that what I am going to do in the world. So on the basis of His knowledge, He wrote what He is going to do, because He knew what I am going to do. So what I am doing right now, it is what I am doing. It is not what Allah wrote. Allah knew what I am going to do. So let me explain you. It is getting a little bit complicated. The God knows what I will do. For example, let me give you a different example. Suppose if I will meet one of my student here, and I will see his progression, how he is reading. He is every day spending 12 hours studies. He is watching the videos, he is reading the notes, he is reading the books. And I can tell one thing, that if he continues this, he will qualify. He will qualify, and eventually he qualifies. Does it mean that I told he will qualify, then only he qualified? No, I can only judge. Similarly, taking this concept to the God level, God knows, I can judge. God knows, God has the knowledge. God has the knowledge what he is going to do. When he knows what he is going to do, he will write that. And what the student does, he does it on his free will. He does it on his free will. So it is not something that God had written, that is why he is doing. He is doing this, that is why God has written it. It is reverse of that. So I hope you got this concept. I did not want it to confuse you, but I wanted to give you the concept. I want you to be socially very well. There should be the amount of tolerance. As a UPSC aspirant, you need to be very much tolerant. You should be open to the discussions. You should have very you should have this knowledge. Questions may be asked in the interview, so you should be very much open for the discussion. That is why I'm giving you this extra knowledge here. So this is the concept of Ajvakism. Now let's move to the another part, which is the most important, and which I believe that you would have read it. And if you are watching my video, you will comment here that, sir, you did not give us everything with respect to Buddhism what we had discussed. But the answer to it is what you had understood, or what you know about the Buddhism. Whatever you know about the Buddhism, that may not be important for exam. That is why I had cut it short. So this is the topic which is going to be very much interesting. Buddhism. So Buddhism, this is the most popular religion at the time of 6600 BCE to 300 BCE, the most popular religion. It is adopted by the high elite political class. Adopted by elite political class. What is the reason for that? Because the political class was the Kshatriyas, and we know the social stratification in Buddhism. Buddha himself was from the Kshatriya family, so definitely they gave highest stage to the Kshatriyas. And we see the most amount of patronage in this period. Most amount of patronage in this time period. And this is the easiest to follow than the Jainism. Easiest to follow. If a question about the about Jainism and Buddhism comparison would be asked, the most important thing about it is that the Buddhism was easiest to follow. The Jainism is not practical. Buddhism is practical. Jainism says no to non-violence. No to non-violence. Buddhism says be ready for the non-violence. Says no to violence. No to violence. Jainism says be ready for the violence. Don't try to go for the violence, but if it is given to you, you should be ready for that. So there are certain fundamental differences between the Jainism and Buddhism, and that is the reason why Buddhism was mostly accepted by the people than the Jainism. So in the Buddhism, what you have to learn? First, we have to learn about the life of the Buddha. Life of Buddha. So let's discuss few important facts about the life of the Buddha, so that it would become, let's try to find out few important facts about Buddha, so that it can become, interesting for you guys. Here you may tell me that, sir, you had not added many things, because I know that there are many things and I also know those things, but I will not add them. The reason is they are not important. First, he was born as Siddhartha. When he was born as Siddhartha in a Kshatriya family. Born as Siddhartha in a Kshatriya family. What is his father's name? Siddhodhan. Siddhodhan is his father, and mother is Maya Devi. So this is the basic introduction of the Siddhartha. Buddha's name is Siddhartha. It is the basic introduction of Siddhartha. If we look at the Saloni's chronicles, little bit I would like to add here that, here there is a difference. Some say that according to Saloni's chronicles, they believe that, Siddhodhan and, and Maya Devi, they did not have a child for a long time. Then eventually Maya Devi sees a dream. Maya Devi, she sees a dream that a white horse, white elephant. She sees a dream, and heavenly white elephant enters her womb. Heavenly white elephant enters her womb. Then she tells this to her husband, and they go to the astrologer, and astrologer gave the prophecy that you will you will give birth to a son, and this son, he is going to be, your son will conquer the world. This is one theory. Here is the contradiction: he will conquer the world. This is one and widely accepted. Then the another theory is, with respect to this, is that when this Siddhartha was born, when he was born, he has 32 signs on his body. This is the another, and it is also accepted by many. He has 32 signs on his body. 32 signs on his body. And when his father sees these 32 signs, he goes to Brahman, says, what is this? The Brahman says that there are, these indicate two things. What are these two things? First, he will be the world, either he will be the world conqueror, or he will be the world renunciator. He will renunciate the world. So as a father who is a tribal chief, what he would want his son to be? He would want his son to be the world conqueror. But as time passes, eventually when the Siddhartha was born, when the Siddhartha was born, when Siddhartha's mother, she was going to her native home, Maya Devi, she was going to her native home, Devi, she was going to native home in the Koilas in Nepal, when she reached into the garden, she went to the mother's house. When she approached a garden in Lumbini, when she approached the garden, Siddhartha was born, and Maya Devi, unfortunately, she died because of the pregnancy complications. She died. And the day and the night was Vishaka Shudra Purnima. So please write this down. It was the, let me rub it, Vishaka was Vishaka Shudra Purnima, the full moon day. It was the full moon day when she died, full moon day when Siddhartha was born. Now as he was born, his father wanted him to conquer the world as per the Brahman's prophecy. But his father gave him everything what will attract him. But unfortunately, the Siddhartha, or we can say fortunately, Siddhartha, his mentality was different. He did not found love in those worldly things. He would often be in deep thinking. He will not be interested in the worldly things. And eventually, when he was 14 years old, his father got frustrated, Siddhodhan, and he went back to that astrologer. That you told me that my son would be the world conqueror, but he is not even going out of the house. He is always sitting in the palace, and he is in deep thinking all the time. What is this? The astrologer told that conquering the world does not mean that he will conquer the world, but he will renunciate the world. So there is a difference. Please remember that. That's why I am saying you that I may give you the information, but it may be sometimes new to you, or I may skip some information because that is not important. Till now what we discussed, that is not, except Vishaka Sudra Purnima, except this, everything is not that relevant for your preparation. So we know that when he came back, he married, uh, you know, uh, he married whom? Siddhartha, Siddharth, you know, Siddhodhan married his son Buddha or Siddharth at that time. He married Siddharth. And when he married with the princess of Koila at the age of 14. Princess of Koilas at the age of 14. He married her. Yashodhara. He married her at the age of 14. And then they have two children, son Rahul, daughter Priyanka. One day, what happens that he decides to move out of the house with his chariot driver, and his name is Chana, who is also his friend. Chana, horse rider or chariot driver, we can say, and his favorite horse, and his name is Kantaka. This is one theory, that he moves out of his house, palace, and he comes across four important things, and that changes his mentality. What are these four things he sees? He sees a sick man, then he sees the corpus, a dead body, then he sees an old man, and the fourth, he sees the monk whose face is brightening in happiness. When he sees all these, he sees the sick man, he sees the suffering there. He sees the corpus, he sees his relatives crying for him. Old man, he sees that his youth time is over now, he is surviving his life only. So he got very sad because of this, and he asked the question to the Channa. And he told Channa, after seeing the corpse, will I also die? Channa told, yes, you will also die. Will my sons Rahul and Priyanka also die? He told, yes, they will also die. Will they also get sick? He asked various questions to them, and then the Siddharth, who is not Buddha yet, he gave a great statement. That what is that statement he gave? He gave a statement there which is very much important for you to know. He gave the statement that contact is the cause of misery. What he said, contact is the cause of misery. So it is the Siddharth who is saying contact is the cause of misery, and when he becomes the Buddha, he will say that excess of desire is the cause of misery. These are two separate statements of the Buddha. So he says this contact is the cause of misery, and he comes back home, and then he thinks over it, and eventually he leaves the palace, and he is accompanied by Channa and Kantaka, and eventually he reaches a place where he tells them to leave him alone, and Channa leaves him. Kantaka dies because of the shock why his master left him, and Buddha, he takes his clothes off and roams naked. And with respect that, he comes across various people. He came across. It is said that he met five monks who would. He joins 5 monks who would tell him to meditate, concentrate, and you will not have to eat food. He met different monks who will teach him differently, but he would not get satisfied with them. And eventually he consumes. There was a lady, at Sarnath when he sat on the peepal tree. When this was happening, Sujata came in and she gave him the kheer, the rice and the milk, and he consumes rice and the milk. And his disciples, 5 disciples, some say they were his disciples, some say they were his gurus. Well, after he became Buddha, they became his disciples. At this time, let's assume that the proper understanding would be they were his gurus who were teaching them. When he consumed food, they left him. They told him that you are not good enough for achieving the salvation, so you stay here, we are moving out and we will meditate somewhere else. So he was there on the peepal tree. He continued his meditation, and eventually on the 49th day, when he was 35 years of age, when he was 29, he left his home, but when he was 35 years age, you know, when he was 35 years of age, he was he was on the people tree, he was meditating, and eventually he got the bodhi. What? He got the bodhi, the knowledge. He got the knowledge. And for that, some say that it was Indra who got disturbed by him, and he sent Mura to, to disturb Buddha, but Buddha did not got disturbed. Eventually he got this knowledge, he got the, you know he got the bodhi, a supreme knowledge. On the 49th full moon day, he got the bodhi. So this is the story. And eventually when he got the bodhi, he was, first of all, he did not open his eyes. Then he shouted that, is anyone who is witness to my bodhi? The earth answered that, I am the witness to your bodhi. The Prithvi answered that, I am witness to your bodhi, that you got this knowledge. Then eventually he opened eyes and he went to his disciples, and first he did the Dharma Chakra. He converted them, and Dharma Chakra Parivartana. He did the Dharma Chakra Parivartana. These 5 became his disciples. They became his disciples. Now, this is the life story of the Buddha. And eventually, he converts, he roams every day for money for, I guess, 10 to 18 kilometers every day, barefooted, and he meets different people. He teaches them the essence of Buddhism, the way of life, and eventually people get converted. He converted his mother, the stepmother, Gautami. His stepmother was Gautami, who raised him. He converted her into the Buddhism, and eventually his son and daughter, they converted into Buddhism. His wife converted into Buddhism. He had many disciples, they converted, and eventually at the age of 80, he died. At the age of 80, he died. So this is the life story of the Buddha. In a nutshell, there are few points which are required for you to understand, which are required for you to remember, and that I will give now. So I hope you had understood the life story of Buddha so far. Very interesting. Maybe I would have skipped few, but trust me, we have to deal with Buddhism in different ways, in art and culture, in patronage. We will see. I will not skip. I can promise you one thing, that whatever you would have read, I will not skip it if that is important for your exam. If it is not important, then maybe I will not utter those words ever during my phase while I am teaching you here. So what are the important facts about Buddhism, his life story? So let me give you to Buddhism. Let me give you these things to you guys. First, he was born at Lumbini, Kapalavastu. Lumbini, Kapala Vastu in Nepal. Please do remember that. He was son of Siddhodhan and Maya Devi. Son of Siddhodhan and Maya Devi. This we know. Married Yashodhara and has a son, Rahula. Married Yashodhara and has a son, Rahula. Married Yashodhara and has a son, Rahula. At the age of 29 years, when he, according to some, he went out of the palace. According to some, he from the balcony of the palace. Whatever be, he saw 4 things. What are these 4 things? He saw old man. He saw sick man. He saw corpus, the dead body, and he saw a monk. And because of that, he decided that there is huge grief in this world, and he started to renounce. He thought that he will renounce the world, and he left his home riding his horse Kantaka, and eventually he leaves Kantaka too, and the Channa, his chariot driver, he leaves him too, and Kantaka dies because he missed his master. Then we also see that he roamed around for 6 years, met different people, learned from them, and did not got satisfied. Had 5 disciples, or they were his masters at that time, and eventually they did not like it, his company, and they left him because he ate the rice and the milk, drank the milk. And then he sat on the people tree where he got the bodhi, on the people tree, sat under the people tree where he got the entire enlightenment, sorry, enlightenment, enlightenment at the people tree. Then he gave the first sermon at Sarnath. First sermon at Sarnath. The event is called the Dharma Chakra Parivartana. Dharma Chakra Parivartana. And the event is called Dharma Chakra Parivartana. He established the order of monks and nuns known as the Sangha. What he established, the important thing what he did in his lifetime, he established the order of monks and nuns known as Sangha. He established this order of monks and Sangha known as Sangha, and died at the age of 80 at Kusinara. Died at the age of 80 at Kusinara. At least this much you should know about Buddha's life. Now, what are his teachings? Now let's move to the another part. His teachings. What is the noble truth, and what is Ashtanga, Manga, Maga? Let's try to understand that. Then, what are three jewels to achieve those Ashtanga Marga? And then we will see the counsels, and then we will conclude it for today. It is going little too much for today, but let me give it in a very short time. There are four noble truths according to Buddha. Four noble truths. What are these? There is suffering. There is suffering, that is true. Suffering is there, which is called dukkha. Suffering is there, and this suffering has a cause. It has a cause which is called the samudaya. And this cause, this suffering can be removed. It can be removed, which is called nirodha. It can be removed, and how it can be removed? It can be achieved. This can be achieved through the Ashtanga Maga. It can be achieved through the Ashtanga Maga. It can be achieved through Ashtanga Maga, which is the eightfold path. Eightfold path. What is this Ashtanga Maga? These eightfold path. It is right view. Second, it is right intention. Third, it is right speech. Fourth, it is right action. Fifth, it is right livelihood. Sixth, it is right effort. Seventh, it's right mindfulness. And eighth, it is right samadhi. What is this? Mediative absorption or union. Malab ki samadhi, do meditation. Right meditation. This is the eightfold path, or it is the Ashtanga Maga. So please, a question about it can be asked. Who among these are the Ashtanga Manga? What is the four noble truths under the Buddhism? And what are the three jewels? And three jewels are Buddha himself, the enlightened one, then Dhamma, which is the teachings of Buddha, and then the Sangha, which is the monastic order. These are the three jewels. So this much you need to know for your prelims preparation. Then let's move to the another part, which is the Buddhistic terms, which you need to know, which can be asked in the exam. Such terms are often asked. Let me give you some Buddhist terms which are very much relevant for your prelims exam. First is Arya Sachani. Arya Sachani. What is this Arya Sachani? It is the Four Noble Truths. Four Noble Truths which we discussed. Then Dukha, it we had discussed, it is suffering. Then we have the Samudaya. Samudaya, what is the cause of the suffering? We know that. Then we have Atanga Maga. Atanga Maga. It is the eightfold path which we had discussed. Eightfold path. Then we have the Nibbana. Nibbana. We have Vimukha. Vimukha. We have Vimuti and Arahata. What is this? It is the blowing out, or dying out, or extinction of desires. What does these mean? They mean blowing out, dying out, or extinction of desires. This is what these words mean. Then we have Parinibbana. Parinibbana. What is this Parinibbana? It is used for the death of the enlightened one, or death of the Buddha. It is the death of the Buddha. Then we have another term which is Parajya, which is marked a person going forth from home into homelessness, from home to homelessness. Parajya. Then we have Upasakas. Upasakas, it is male follower. And then we have Upasakis, it is the female follower. Upasakis is the female follower. Then we have the Arahat. Arahat, it is the one who has not subscribed the oath with the Buddhism, but he likes the following, he likes the teachings of Buddhism. He has not converted to the Buddhism but likes the teachings of the Buddhism. They are called Arahat. What about Buddha and the relation with God? About Buddha, there is no clear-cut definition whether he believed in God or not. Believed in God or not, it is not clear. But the maximum we can say that he is agnostic about the God. Agnostic about the God. About the God. Whether God exists or not, it does not matter for him. For you, it is the way of life which you should change. Then also, there is the concept of soul. Does Buddha believe in the concept of soul? No, for him the soul does not exist. But in respect of soul, there is something energy. And here there is a confusion, because if soul does not exist, then we have the belief under the Jataka stories that Buddha had the earlier births too. So if soul does not exist, then how he had the earlier births? So there is the confusion. But if the question would come, does Buddha believe in soul? No, soul does not exist for him. When Buddha dies, when the leader of the religion dies, there are chances that the religion may disintegrate now, because there is no one who can, the people, the followers will listen to. There are high chances that religion may disintegrate. So for that, Buddha was very much aware of it, and he already created the Sangha. And what was the Sangha? It was the group of monks, they were taught by the Buddha, and it was their duty to institutionalize the religion. It was the duty of the monks to institutionalize the religion, and they did exactly what was required. And for that, we have the first Buddhist council, which was held in the year 486 BCE. Now we reach to the another concept of the Buddhist councils. After that we will conclude, as it is going too much for today. So let me give you the Buddhist councils, who were the architects of it, who presided it, and who were the who funded it. Let's understand that, then we will complete our discussion. We have the first Buddhist council. It was in 486 BCE. First Buddhist council, 486 BCE. It led after the Parivarana, after the death of the Buddha. This was held at Rajgir, near Rajgir, which is the old capital of the Magadha. It was organized. Who organized it? Organized by Ajashatru. He organized it, and it was presided. Who presided it? Presided by Mahakasapa. It was presided by the Mahakasapa. And what it led to? It led to the compilation of the Buddhist teaching. This led to the compilation of Buddhist teachings into Vinay Pitaka, into two. First, Vinay Pitaka. What is this Vinay Pitaka? It is the rules for the monk. And the second, it is the Sutta Pitaka. In the Sutta Pitaka, it is the Buddha's sermons. It contains the Buddha's sermons, teachings, and ethics. So in the first Buddhist council, it was organized by Ajatashatru. It was presided by what is his name? Mahakasapa. And what it led to the completion of the Buddhist teachings into two Pitakas, which is Vinaya Pitaka, which is rule for monks, and also the Sutta Pitaka. Then we have the second Buddhist council. It was held after 100 years in 386 BCE, and it was held at Varanasi. Sorry, not Varanasi, at Vaishali. And after 100 years after the Buddha's death, or it was organized by Kala Ashoka. And it was presided by the Sabakamibi. After the first Buddhist council, there was a slight division with respect to Vinapitayaka, because the division started to happen. Some said that we should follow the the teachings as per the Gautam Buddha. What did he said? We should follow them as per those lines. For example, for monk, during the rainy seasons they have to rest. There were certain teachings for the monks, and there was another sect who believed that we can change it, because the time is changing. We have to change it with respect to the environment and with respect to that. So the division had already started. Discussions already had started. So with respect to this, there were different opinions in issues of monastic discipline. With respect to the Vinaya Pitaka, there was the monastic, there was Pitaka. There was monastic, division with respect to the Vinaya Pitaka about the monastic discipline, and it's split into two. First one is Orthodox, which believed in that only the creator of the religion has the right to change it, and they are called the Theravada school of which is the school of elders. It is called Theravada school, and it was followed by very minimum people. Then there is another school which is the unorthodox, who believed in that we can change it in orthodox. It was not that big division, but it led to the division. It was the first instance we see the division of the Buddhism, and it was the they were called the Mahasanghikas. Mahasanghikas, and it was followed by the majority. It was followed by the majority, and they are the members of a great community. Then after that, we see the third Buddhist council. What we see? Third Buddhist council, and it was around 250 BCE, 250 BCE at Patlipura, Patliputra, at Pataliputra and Putra. And it was organized by whom? It was organized by Ashoka the Great. Organized by Ashoka. And Ashoka, when he converted to Buddhism, he saw one thing, that there is huge division in it. And the division is with respect to the interpretation. How to interpret the Buddhist sermons. So this time, the division was with respect to the Sutta Pitaka. Sutta Pitaka. With respect to Buddhist, sermons, how to interpret them. There were different interpretations were coming. There on the basis of interpretations, different sects had emerged. So definitely there was huge discussion with respect to that. And the Ashoka came in. He organized the third Buddhist council, and it was presided by the Magaliputta Tissa. Presided by Magali Putta Tissa. This is the kind of name he had. So remember the spelling, that would be enough. Migali Putta Tissa. And under this, the third compilation came in, and that is the compilation of the Abhidhamma Pitaka. Abhidhamma Pitaka. It came in. The compilation of Abhidhamma Pitaka. What is this compilation of Abhidhamma Pitaka? It is the philosophical doctrines of the Buddha's teachings. Philosophical doctrines of Buddha's teachings. Well, it gave the clear-cut interpretation of the Buddha's teachings, what they do mean. So it was the Abhidhamma Pitaka. These are the three Pitakas with respect to the Buddhist religion, and these are also called the chronicle texts. They are called the chronicle texts, rule book of the religion. Then after that, after the third Buddhist council, it was in the 250 BCE. Then came the fourth Buddhist council. Here I will write it, fourth Buddhist council, and it came after 250 years in the first AD. And at Kundalawana, Kashmir. At Kundalawana, Kashmir. It is the fourth Buddhist council, and it was organized by Kanishka. The great king of the Kashmir, and his reign was the most separate reign in that time, during that time. And he presided by the Vasumitra and Ashwagosha. So there were two presidents of this, Vasumitra and Ashwagosha. They presided it, and the major aim of this council was to settle differences among the 18 sects of the Buddhism. So far there were 18 sects, so major aim was to settle Buddhism, to settle differences among the 18 sects of the Buddhism. But unfortunately, it led to the emergence of what? It further divided the Buddhism into two, which became Mahayana and Hinayana. Mahayana and Hinayana. So it emerged as the Mahayana and Hinayana. So which is this Mahayana and Hinayana? They actually emerged, if we go to the second Buddhist council, where we see that the Buddhism got first time divided into Mahasanghika and Theravada. So this Mahasanghika, it is the Mahasanghika from where these two emerged, Mahayana and Hinayana. What is the core difference between the two. Hinayana, they believe in, for the Hinayana, the God is, Gautam Buddha is not the God. He was the good man. For Mahayana, Gautam Buddha is the God. For Hinayana, we should not do idol worship. For Mahayana, we should do idol worship. For Hinayana, the best way to worship is worship through the symbols. For Mahayana, the better way to worship is the worship through the idol. So this is about it. Now, here I am going to conclude my today's discussion, and tomorrow we will discuss about these sects, the division of the Buddhism in great detail, and then we will see what was the end of the Buddhism in India, what led to the decline of the Buddhism in India, and then we will move to the Jainism, and let's see where we will reach tomorrow. So with this, I'm going to conclude my today's discussion. I hope you would have liked it. I hope you would share it with your friends, and I definitely hope you would subscribe the channel. Thank you for staying with me. Thank you very much, and have a nice day.